First of all, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for inviting me to Sunni Students Federation's Karnataka gathering. This is the first time I am attending such a large gathering. So when I was invited, I was very doubtful whether I should be the right person to talk in such a situation, such an audience, to such an audience in such a stage. For many reasons, I was not sure whether the subject I'm going to talk about is the future of Muslim politics and social activism in India. I was not sure, it was not my research topic, or I am a historian and social scientist, but this is not my particular research subject, first of all. So I am not an expert in this subject. Second, I was not sure what I'm going to say will be acceptable. I have of course, everyone has their own opinion and ideologies, etc. So I was not sure whether it will be useful for inviting me to say my opinions on this. But then I accepted the invitation specifically because the way I see the contemporary situation in India. I'm not going to give a we don't have to explain what is happening around us. You are students, so you might be observing various things, social, political, economical aspects of our life changing tremendously around us. And it is important as students to understand this and contextualize this in what is happening, what happened in the past. So I will begin my talk by mentioning certain historical past which is informing us to understand the current situation in India. And again, this is very personal opinion, and so as a students, I think the first quality for students is to critically understand. The word is not just understand, but how we critically understand things. You should have the courage to, as the speakers before quoted Tagore, as Tagore says, you should have the courage to ask questions. Whenever you see injustice, whenever you see inequality, whenever you see social hierarchies, you should have the courage to question. You should question your teachers. You should not blindly follow anyone. That is why when I say something, don't accept it. Critically think about it. If you think that is something valuable in it, accept it. Otherwise, just reject it. That should be the first principle of learning, I think. So, if we want to think about the future of Muslim politics, we should understand what has happened in India in history. If you remember 1919, Mahatma Gandhi was first time in the leadership of a bigger struggle of non-cooperation movement. Gandhi has come back from Champaran, where he led a successful agitation against British. And after that, this was non-cooperation movement. This is the time this is going on in 1920s. You might know the history of Khilafat movement. Once the Khilafat movement was announced, Gandhi wanted to cooperate with Indian National Congress. Gandhi's advice to Indian National Congress is that this is a very important moment in Muslims entering into anti-British politics here. Not that Muslims were not fighting against British before. Muslims were fighting in all over India against the British the moment they were here. If it's in the perspective of a ruler, we can have an example of Tipu Sultan. But from the perspectives of agriculture workers, farmers, Muslims were fighting against British in 1850s onwards. But 1920 was a different reason. First of all, Khilafat movement can be or may be interpreted as a religious movement. To establish the Khilafat is a religious movement. How can that be a part of a political movement? This was the question many Congress leaders asked Gandhi. If you bring religious movement to political movement, that will divide India. That was the question asked to Gandhi. Gandhi's reply was interesting. Where do you distinguish one belief from other belief? How do you separate one kind of belief with other kind of belief? Because Indian National Congress believed in an idea of nation. What is it? What is a nation? It's a belief that it's not a fact. Nation is not a fact. It's a belief system. Certain group of people living in a certain boundary, certain region, think that we can live together. We can live in a particular administrative system, within particular geographical system. We can live together. That idea is, that belief is nation. If you can believe in that, and if you are fighting a common enemy, what belief you have is not the issue. What are the procedures they follow to achieve this objective? That is the question. If Indian National, they are agreeing with Indian National Congress policy of non-violence, as far as the Khilafat movement is non-violent, Congress will accept it. That is Gandhi's opinion. Not that all Khilafat movement was non-violent, but the important point is that for Gandhi, from the very moment of beginning of Muslim politics, it was acceptable because he thought that any belief system has a right to be in social and political movement. So that is the history which also provoked a certain group of people which lately become Hindu Mahasabha, and that provoked them to murder Mahatma Gandhi. So he gave his life in order to protect this idea. Mahatma Gandhi gave his idea in order to protect this idea that we have different kinds of ideas. We have different kinds of belief systems. But still we can work together to live together with difference. Second point I want to make is Ambedkar. Ambedkar, you might know as a political leader, as a political philosopher, and also as the chief creator of our constitution, though he did not do it alone. He was very important in understanding politics and religion, the connection between politics and religion. So, the very politics he entered into is a particular politics of religion. You know that India, even now, caste is a very central issue of Indian social organization. Our society is organized based on caste. I would argue that caste is there in all religion. In Hinduism, it has spread to all religion, not only in Hindu religion, but also in Islam, in Christianity, in Buddhism. In Indian region, caste has spread and put its roots into all kinds of religious practices. Ambedkar's struggle was to bring out a new kind of religion which will enable certain kind of political belief system he believed. He believed in political liberalism. Liberalism is a political philosophy which advocates equality, fraternity, and liberty. which are the slogans in French Revolution. So Ambedkar did not doubt that religion can bring these ideologies, these slogans. His question was, what kind of religion can bring such an ideology? He was very sure that from his own life experience, by studying the Shastras of Brahmanical religion, he was very sure that Brahmanical religion cannot bring equality. Why? By principle. Unlike all other religion, not just Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, all other religion believe that by birth you are equal before the God. All of you, male, female, Indian, American, whoever it is, all of the living beings are equal before God when at the birth. You may achieve different statuses during your life. One may become a leader, one may become a ruler, one may become a trader. That is a different situation. But Brahmanical Shastras, by principle, oppose this. They say that by birth you are hierarchized. Some people are born high, some people are born low. It is their karma, it is their fate. So this was the problem for Ambedkar. Ambedkar believed in rationality. Ambedkar believed in equality. So by principle, he was against these Brahmanical principles. So his politics started challenging this kind of religion. And once a certain period, he was considering to convert into Islam. The latest new diaries and his writings are coming out now recently. So a lot of Ambedkar studies is happening. Now we know that in 1930, early 1930s or 35, he was thinking of conversion very seriously, converting from Brahmanical religion, which was called Hinduism at that time. He was considering Islam as an option because according to him, it is the one religion where you can have this principle practice without any contradiction with the religious principle, equality, liberty, and fraternity. But his consideration was sociological also. He did not convert to Islam because his consideration was sociological also. You remember the lower caste people, Dalit people, oppressed caste people at that period was the lowest strata of Indian society, and they were oppressed by all kind of groups. At the same time, Muslims were also considered to be second-class citizens and oppressed in religious base. So if you convert from Dalit to Muslim, it may make doubly oppressed. The group may sociologically, not because of the religious principle, but sociologically they may become doubly oppressed. That was Ambedkar's doubt to convert to Islam. But then we know that his final act as a politician was to convert into Buddhism. So my point here is that religion has a very central connection to politics. That doesn't mean every religion is suitable for politics as imagined by our constitution. I want to come to constitution now, because constitution is what unites us. I usually teach this course in my university. We have all students coming to our university has to undergo 2 courses. Even if you are studying physics, chemistry, biology, history, sociology, whatever you are studying, those students have to take 2 courses, compulsory courses, Understanding India 1 and Understanding India 2. What we teach in these courses to all students, future scientists, future business people, future historians, future political leaders, future journalists, what we teach them is that you should understand, everyone should have a knowledge about our social systems, our political systems, what is happening around us. Not only they should have a knowledge, but they should have a capability to critically analyze this. These are the 2 things we look into. So I ask the students, when they come, in the first class I ask, What do you think about India? Just tell, don't think too much, just write a paragraph about India. What do you think about India? All of the students will use this, not all, but majority of the students will use this phrase, unity in diversity. That is the center. You are taught that in school also, that's why people are writing commonly, but it is the way India is imagined, unity in diversity. So then I will ask students, okay, give me example of diversity. So they will say, we have a number of religions, we have different kinds of culture, which is include different kinds of food practices, different kind of dress practices, different kinds of dances, different kinds of gods. We have multiple kind of diversity. We are living, some of us are living in mountain, some of us are living in valleys, some of us are living in desert. So, geographical diversity. Some of us believe in some political parties and others believe in different other political parties. So, economically, politically, socially, culturally, geographically, we are diverse. Students will easily give examples for all this diversity. Then if you ask, give me an example of unity. One example of unity. Since this is a big audience, I don't want to ask you directly, but I would have liked to hear what you think about unity. Give me an example of unity. If you asked, give me an example of unity in India. It is very difficult to give an idea of unity in India. We believe in different kind of India, for example. India itself is imagined very differently by different people. So, what is the unity? There is some unity which brought by Constitution. Constitution is the only document that allow us to be Indians. All Indian citizens, unlike many other constitutions, even democratic places where democracy exists, this was not the situation in, say, America, for example. In 1950s, American Constitution did not provide equal rights to black people, African American people. Whereas the moment Indian Constitution, from the very first moment, it imagined every person born here in India as Indian citizen. And everybody has, individually have equal rights. So that is where we are united, under the Constitution. So you will, if you look the preamble of the Constitution, you will see the earlier values written in bold in the preamble: liberty, equality, and fraternity. That is the aspiration. When Constitution was formed, there was no equality, there was no fraternity. People were killing in the name of boundaries in borders. There was a lot of communal rights, lot of caste oppression. So there was no equality or fraternity. Without equality or fraternity, you will not have liberty. But why the leaders at that time thought that this should be on the forefront of our Constitution? Because that is the aspiration, that is the future of politics. That should be the future of the politics. So, before that, they have defined India. India is defined in the preamble of the Constitution. India is defined as sovereign, secular, socialist republic. Socialist and secular was added in 1975, but this is the imagination of India. So there will be a question, especially those believe in certain kind of secularism may ask, how can religion be in politics at all? Doesn't secularism mean that separation of state and religion? Doesn't that mean that religion should not enter politics? Doesn't that mean that politics should not enter religion? Of course, there is secularism. What the definition of secularism, you can have multiple opinions. But what our Constitution says about secularism is important. If you look the fundamental rights, if you look into fundamental rights, you will see that it is not that you should separate religion from public life or politics. That's not what our constitution says. Everyone not only have the right to follow a religion, that can be private. If you follow a religion, that can be just your personal matter. What do you believe, you practice. It cannot be a public opinion, a public matter. But our constitution adds that you can propagate your religion. You can ask other people to join your religion. You can propagate. What that means? How do you propagate a religion to other people? In a public media, you need to be in public. You need to establish social relation to propagate your religion. Every religion has the right to propagate, which means that we have a fundamental right to be religious in public. That is what our constitution says. And if it is in a public, that's also constitutes social and political. It cannot be separated from that. Whatever happening in the public is mediated through social and political aspects. So, if our constitutions allow secularism, it means that the government, the state should not privilege one religion over other. That is the only thing. State can allow practices of religion in public. State can allow politics in religion in politics. There's no law against being religious in politics. Only law is that the state, the rulers, should not discriminate based on religion. They should not give preference to one religion. What is happening now, you know, what is our state behaving? You can clearly know that is not secularism according to the constitution. That is what constitution says that mean by secularism. So I think that secularism secularism that is defined by our Indian constitution allow us to practice our religion and it's being part of center to our politics. But is it necessary? Should be religion part of politics at all? Though constitution says it, should we do that? In my opinion, think about, I'm not expert or I don't have any idea of theological practices within Islam. I have not studied Quran in detail or anything. I don't know the religious principle. But think about this. Does your belief system allow to be in public but also demand justice? Is that what your religion is asking to you to do? Is it asking to be equal, bring equal? You know, this is one question I would ask to you. What do you think about girl students? I don't see any. I don't see any girl students. I ask this question, what do you think about that? You have a certain justification, you may have. I'm not I'm not challenging that, but I'm saying, if you are demanding justice, equality, you should practice that. If that is allowed in religion, religion can be the central ethical framework for politics. If it is not allowing, if it's claiming justice and if it's not allowing equality within the community, if it is not allowing to be political for all of the community members, it will not be equality. It cannot be, it can demand still justice, but others may not agree with that. So the first principle to enter religion into politics, I will say that it should be practice what is demanding. And I think Islam has the all right to do that. From an outsider, I think that Islam has a moral, ethical fabric to be equal, just and humane society. And so it has all the potential, Islam has all the potential to be part of the future of Indian politics. be the ideal of Indian politics and bring the values that Constitution demands us to bring, as to bring a new India, to the future of India. So my request to you is that any belief system, whatever system you believe, is important, and none of the belief systems are less or higher. One thing I believe, for example, then what are the belief systems? I should open myself what I believe. I believe in democracy. That is my value. I think that people's voice should be heard everywhere. All peoples, men, women, transgender, queer, whatever kind of people you are, whatever your sex is, whatever your sexual orientation is, you should have the equal rights and democratic rights to be represented in all governing bodies. That is democracy. And non-violence. Killing other people is not under the purview of human being. You don't have the right to kill other human being. That's my principle. So I think I can follow Islam in that sense. Islam can be interpreted in this way. But you may not agree with that interpretation. That's also fine. There is no way you can have one interpretation. Think about Islam. How many different kinds of belief systems are there within Islam? You may think some may think that's a bad thing. Ours is the right thing. Others' belief systems are bad. They are not Islamic. But think about it. Isn't it a good thing? Isn't it a good thing that many different people interpret Islam in different way? Because it has the capacity to be adapted to different regions, sects and other places. It has the capacity to be served, to be part of their moral principles in Africa, in America, in Asia, or any places. So, if you have diversity within religion, it's a good thing, I will say. What is happening in Hindu religion now? They want to make homogeneous. You know that Hindu religion is basically caste systems and multiple kind of gods, multiple kind of worships. Those who are claiming to be Hindu in Karnataka may not follow the same principles, same God, same rituals of Hindus in Rajasthan. There is a diversity. That diversity was good. But what is happening now is to homogenize. There should be one God that would be for everyone. That Rama is, even if you don't believe in this God, you are forcefully put into the ideal of Hindu religion. So what we see is the attempt to homogenize is a big problem. If you want to challenge, diversity is the strength of our country. If you want to allow diversity, you should allow all kind of belief system to coexist. You should follow your system. That is very important. But unless you accept others to practice their own systems, we will not have a democracy. So as students, I will say that you should study everything very seriously. You should study about the religion very seriously. You should study about not only your religion, but other religions also. That's very important. And you should also study about the politics in India. Unless you are seriously engaged in politics with an ethical principle, people like corrupt people, power-hungry people will be in politics. How do you change the politics? Only by bringing in faithful, truthful people into politics. I see your belief systems can support that kind of politics in India, and that will be a different India. So think about equality, think about justice, think about fraternity. Ambedkar has a very important idea about fraternity, which was very interesting. Usually what do you see fraternity? How do we understand fraternity? You do whatever you believe, I do whatever I believe. We live separate. That is not fraternity. I should be able to be in your house. I should be able to be part of your religious practice. And you should be able to be in my house, not outside. And like we live neighbor separate. That is not fraternity. That is not living together. That is living separate. You will not understand each other. You will not understand then each other, and then you will have doubt. When is stereotypes comes, how is, say for example, many stereotypes of Islam society, Muslim society, how is it coming? Because people don't know what is they haven't met people, they haven't been frightened, friend with, they may be friend outside, but they're not friend in core. How do we become fraternity? How do we bring fraternity? By bringing people into your personal life. Those who object to your ideas, those who oppose to your ideas, bring them to your heart. That's what Gandhi was advising. Only by bringing your enemy to your heart, then only you can change the enemy, or you will be changed. That's fine. So, my request as a future of India to you all is that it is important to study whatever subject you are. It is equally important to study about social, political, religious aspects of India. Because that is going to be integral to India, and it will affect your life. It's already affecting all of our life. What is politics is affecting all of our life. We don't have escape from that. We should not move out of politics, and you should not be scared when somebody say political Islam or something like that. You should not be worried. Yeah, all religion are politics. Buddhist, what is it, Buddhism? How did Buddhism emerge? Buddhism emerged fighting the Brahminical rule in India. It was a political move. Of course, it is a religious and ideas about this life, next life, God, etc. It's also there. But it is a political religion. Islam and Christianity before. What was Christ's problem with Jewish rule? It was unjust. It was a political move. Christianity is a political move. Islam definitely is a political move. It is through political movement that religion is emerging. And it should be political. But not political in the sense that you should form a party, and that's not the only thing. You can, but that is not the only thing. Political means you understand what is happening in our country and seriously engaging in that. You can be engage it in multiple ways. You can be a part of political party and fight it, but you can be an IAS officer and fight it also. But if you have that core ethical principles in you, then your action will be driving towards social and just and equal society. Otherwise, even if you are successful, the society will be becoming more and more unequal and hierarchical. If you look around in India, you can see that around 5% of wealthy people control around 70% of India's wealth. 5% control 70% of India's wealth. So economic inequality is wide range. People's houses are bulldozed. People are killed just because they doubted to eating beef, etc. So there is no religious equality in India. There is no social inequality in India. Caste system is prevalent all over India, including states which are supposed to be there is no much caste system. Caste is still prevalent. Gender oppression is everywhere. Women did not have the equal rights in all aspects of the society. Women should have equal education. Women should have the equal opportunity to come to be political leaders. Equal opportunity. Unless that kind of core belief is in you, this India's future will not be bright. But I'm sure, since you have a lot of opportunities and you are part of an organization like Sunni Students Federation, I'm hoping that you will gain that moral courage, that ethical principle to challenge all kind of inequalities and social injustice. Once again, I thank you for listening me. Thank you all.